Okay, so the first question is, how did you get involved with the Latin music scene?
How did I get involved? Well, first of all, first I started playing, when I started playing music, especially like in high school, I had friends who kind of introduced me to Latin music. And so, and I played, even in my high school band, we played some Latin songs, like, I don't know, Oye Como Va, or something like that, you know. So that was also Latin music, you know, was popular at the time. Even I'm from Germany, so um, well, actually, it wasn't that popular there, but in general, you know what I mean. Like in the '80s, Santana was around, and I'm a guitarist, so you know. And then I moved to New York. I moved to America in the '90s, and what happened there? So I always had an interest, but I was actually at the time I was more interested in jazz, playing jazz, and other musics. But I don't know. I just met some Latin musicians and started playing with them. One of them was one of the first Latin musicians I met here in the city was Orlando Marin. His dad has a salsa band, also Orlando Marin, and he's a bass player, and his dad is Timballero, I guess. And so I played with him, and but it was more like Latin pop and that, or like funk. And then let's see. But anyways, so I continued playing mostly jazz, but it wasn't until like years later.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
Uh-huh.
good. So to sort of follow up, it sounded like it was pretty welcoming, but do you feel like an outsider in the genre, or do you think that the more Latino people who play Latin music are very welcoming to non-Latino people?
You know, it's hard to generalize. I've heard other people. I mean, of other people who didn't think so, but to me, I mean, all the people I met were welcoming, and actually, it happened for me pretty quickly. Like when I actually wanted to really start playing this music, that I was starting to play gigs. I was picking up gigs. That happened very fast. So at least the ones I met were all really welcoming. Yeah, I didn't feel any weird tension, or mostly, I mean, it wasn't. Also, it depends who you meet, I guess. I try to keep away from people that I don't get a good vibe from.
Yeah, that sounds like a good business practice.
And but it was. I mean, there are quite a few non-Latin musicians that play Latin music in New York. So
okay,
and it's say again.
Oh no, that's a great answer. Thank you. So next question is, what do you think the pros and the cons are of being a non-Latino playing Latin music?
Well, I mean, for one, the language, it's the language barrier. If you don't speak Spanish, at least you should probably speak enough so that you can understand what's going on in the songs, that's one thing. You have to kind of learn the language.
Okay.
So that makes it more difficult, or of course, if you're born in a culture, certain things might come to you more instinctively. Um, you know what I mean? Like if you grow up with something. But on the other hand, if you experience something later in life, it's also can be very rewarding, and you don't take it so for granted.
So you'd say like it's sort of broadened your horizons, opened you up to other cultures.
Right. I mean, it's like if you grow up with this kind of music and you play it, then to me it was kind of exactly broadened my horizon. I feel like more than if I had heard this from day one, and just had kind of grown into it. So, but on the other hand, I mean, you can't say that this is something positive or negative. It's just a difference. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to say certain things might be easier, like if you grow up with a culture. But on the other hand, if you're more of an outsider, you're also able to see other aspects that people who grow up with it might not be able to see as clearly. So there's it's just a different perspective.
Okay, that makes sense. And then next question would be, does Latin music hold any special significance to you? Because I mean, lots of Latino people in the Latin music scene have like cultural identification with it. So I don't know if I was wondering if you had any sort of own special significance to the genre.
Well, to me, it's just. It's nothing that connects me really culturally with it, other than friendships and people that I know, and that I've met. But it's not like in my family or any of that, or it's just I really always since day one felt drawn to it because of the sound of it, and also I love the dancing and all of that. It's just I played before I played Latin music. I played a lot of jazz, and especially in jazz nowadays, it's like mostly people sit down and listen, but it's in Latin music that it's much more going on. It's much more, there's dancing and
very energetic.
So more participation from the audience, and to me it feels more like a complete experience in a way.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. I remember at the concert
it's more alive in a way. Also, I feel like because of that, because people. It's like comparing it to jazz, especially like or other musics that are, that just feels a lot of jazz is just music played by musicians for musicians,
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's this kind of music,
Great. So that's all we had. Thank you so much for agreeing to let us interview you.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye.